Have you ever sat down to enjoy a nice, comforting bowl of rice, maybe with your favorite stir-fry or a hearty stew, only to feel like your energy crashes soon after? Or worse, you get that foggy-headed feeling, like your brain is wading through molasses. If you're over 60 and still eating rice the way you always have, that innocent bowl might be doing more harm than good. I know it sounds dramatic, but when it comes to blood sugar and your gut health, how you eat rice matters more now than it ever did before. See, rice has been a staple food for generations. It's warm, familiar, easy to make, and it pairs with just about everything. But our bodies aren't the same as they were in our 30s and 40s. As we get older, the way we process certain foods, especially high-carb ones like rice, begins to shift. Our insulin sensitivity tends to decline with age, and that means your blood sugar can spike higher and stay elevated longer than it used to. And when blood sugar spikes become a regular thing, that opens the door to a whole host of problems you don't want creeping in. I'm talking about fatigue, brain fog, belly fat, and yes, even type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm not here to scare you into giving up rice forever. That's not the goal. But I am here to show you that there are better, smarter ways to enjoy it, ways that can actually support your health rather than hurt it. There are tiny tweaks you can make that change how rice affects your blood sugar and your gut. These are the same tweaks nutritionists and researchers have been quietly recommending for years, but somehow, most of us never hear about them. Until now. Let's start with the first one, and it might surprise you. Never eat freshly cooked hot rice straight from the pot if you're trying to protect your blood sugar. I know, that's the way we've always done it. The rice cooker dings or the stovetop timer buzzes, and we scoop it right into our bowl, fluffy and steaming. But here's the thing, when rice is freshly cooked and still hot, the starch it contains is in its most digestible form, and that means your body breaks it down super fast, sending a rush of glucose into your bloodstream. That's exactly what causes those blood sugar spikes we're trying to avoid. But what happens when you cool that same rice in the fridge overnight? The starches start to change. It's called resistant starch, and it's a kind of starch your body doesn't digest the same way. Instead of turning straight into glucose, it passes through your gut more slowly, feeding your good gut bacteria along the way. That means not only does your blood sugar stay more stable, but your gut gets a boost too. So, the next time you make rice, cook it ahead of time, store it in the fridge, and reheat it later. It tastes just as good, maybe even better, and your body will thank you. Now, let's talk about how you're pairing that rice. Another blood sugar trap is eating rice all by itself, or just with other carbs, like corn, beans, or bread. When you eat a big scoop of rice with no fiber, no protein, and no healthy fat, your body absorbs it fast. Too fast. It's like pouring lighter fluid on a fire. But if you slow that process down by adding in protein and fat, it's like putting a lid on the flame. Think of it like this: a small scoop of rice with grilled chicken, veggies, and maybe a drizzle of olive oil is a completely different meal than that same scoop of rice eaten plain with a side of white bread or crackers. The first meal keeps your energy stable, supports your gut, and helps prevent that crash an hour later. The second one might leave you sleepy, cranky, or craving something sweet to pick you back up. This isn't about restriction, it's about combination. You're not giving up the rice, you're just giving it partners that help it behave better inside your body. And honestly, food should work for you, not against you. Another small change that goes a long way is portion size. It's easy to think a heaping bowl of rice is fine as long as it's just rice. But carbs stack up fast, especially when you can't burn through them the way you used to in your younger years. The trick is to shift your plate, not eliminate your favorites. Picture this. Instead of making rice the star of your meal, let it play a supporting role. Fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, zucchini, or leafy greens. Add a palm-sized serving of protein like fish, chicken, or tofu. Then, and only then, add a modest scoop of rice, maybe a third of a cup, maybe even less, depending on what else you've got going on that day. You'll be amazed how satisfied you still feel, especially if you've prepped the rice right and paired it with the right foods. There's one more reason this approach matters so much after 60, and it's not just about blood sugar, it's about inflammation. Those sugar spikes, they don't just make you sleepy, they cause microscopic damage to your blood vessels and nerves over time. And guess what rides along with that damage? Chronic inflammation. That's the stuff that contributes to joint pain, memory problems, and even heart disease. So when we talk about changing the way you eat rice, we're not just talking about staying off medications. We're talking about protecting your brain, your mobility, your independence. It's wild, isn't it? One small food, prepared one small way, can ripple through your body and affect how you feel for hours. And yet most of us go through life eating rice like we always have, never realizing there's a better way. But now you know. And once you know, you can start making small shifts that protect your body and give you more energy, clarity, and confidence in your choices. Because you deserve that. Let's keep going. There's another powerful trick that involves a common kitchen ingredient you probably already have, and it can change how your body handles rice even more. That ingredient I mentioned, it's vinegar. Yep, plain old vinegar, the kind you might use for salad dressings or cooking. Believe it or not, adding just a small amount of vinegar to your meal can have a big effect on your blood sugar, especially when you're eating something like rice. Here's how it works. When you consume vinegar, especially apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, about 15 to 20 minutes before a high-carb meal, it helps slow the breakdown of starches into sugar. That means your body releases glucose more gradually, keeping your levels steadier and avoiding that dreaded spike and crash cycle. Even better, some studies suggest that vinegar may help improve insulin sensitivity, which is exactly what we want after 60, when insulin resistance tends to creep in more easily. Now, I'm not saying you have to take shots of vinegar before every meal. That would be awful, and harsh on your teeth and stomach too. But a tablespoon mixed in water with a squeeze of lemon, or even worked into a vinaigrette over some greens. That's an easy, gentle way to help your body handle rice and other carbs much more gracefully. It's a simple trick that doesn't require any major changes, just a little forethought. But vinegar isn't the only thing hiding in your kitchen that can help. There's another key factor we often overlook when it comes to blood sugar and digestion, and it's how we chew. I know, that might sound silly. After all, we've been chewing since before we could talk. But how many of us are really chewing our food thoroughly, especially something soft like rice, which barely requires effort to swallow? Here's why this matters. Digestion actually begins in your mouth. When you chew more slowly and thoroughly, you give your saliva time to start breaking down starches before they even hit your stomach. You're also allowing your body time to signal that you're getting full. That means you're likely to eat less, absorb nutrients better, and feel more satisfied. Rushed meals, which so many of us fall into, even in retirement, can lead to overeating and poorly digested food that leaves you bloated and uncomfortable. So next time you sit down to a meal, take a breath, pause, appreciate the food in front of you, and chew, really chew, especially when you're eating rice or any kind of carbohydrate. It's a small shift that creates a ripple effect. Better digestion, better blood sugar, better awareness of how full you actually are. And speaking of awareness, here's another tip that might feel a little unexpected. Pay attention to the color of your rice. Yes, color, because not all rice is created equal. If you've been eating mostly white rice your whole life, and let's face it, most of us have, it might be time to explore some darker alternatives. Brown rice, black rice, and even red rice contain more fiber, more antioxidants, and more nutrients overall compared to plain white rice. They take longer to digest, which helps keep your blood sugar stable. And that's not even mentioning the extra gut health benefits from the fiber. Black rice, in particular, is sometimes called forbidden rice, because it used to be reserved for royalty. It has this beautiful, deep purple color, and is loaded with a compound called anthocyanin, the same antioxidant found in blueberries. That stuff is amazing for your brain, your heart, and even your eyes. Now I know what some people are thinking, but I like white rice. It's what I'm used to. I get it. Food is personal. It's cultural. It's nostalgic. You don't have to give it up completely. But try mixing it half and half. Half white rice, half brown or wild. You'll get the best of both worlds, the comfort of the familiar with the nutrition of something better. Over time, you might even find yourself craving the richer texture and flavor of those darker rices, and your body, it'll thank you every single time. There's one more thing I want to touch on in this part of our conversation, and it's about timing. When you eat rice, or any carb-heavy meal, time makes a difference, especially as we age. Our insulin sensitivity tends to be better earlier in the day. That means if you're going to enjoy a rice dish, it's smarter to do it at lunch rather than dinner. That way, your body has more time and energy to burn through it, and you're less likely to store it as fat. Eating a big bowl of rice at 7 or 8 p.m. and then heading to bed, that's a recipe for sluggish digestion and elevated blood sugar while you sleep. And while you might not feel that happening, your body does. It shows up in restless sleep, weight gain around the middle, and waking up feeling groggy. So even if you don't change anything else, try shifting your rice-based meals to earlier in the day and keep your dinners lighter with more veggies and protein. You'll feel the difference, especially in your energy the next morning. All of these little adjustments, from how you prepare your rice, to what you eat with it, to when and how you eat it, they add up. None of them are hard, and none of them mean you have to give up rice entirely. They're just smarter choices based on how our bodies change with age. Because you deserve to keep enjoying the foods you love without feeling like they're working against you. And that's really what this is all about. Not restriction, not guilt, just awareness, and giving your body what it actually needs now, not what it needed 20 or 30 years ago. In the next stretch of our conversation, we'll look at one last rice habit that almost nobody talks about. And it could be the key to protecting your metabolism, especially if you're struggling with weight or blood sugar. So let's talk about something that's been flying under the radar. A rice habit that doesn't get nearly enough attention, but can seriously impact your metabolism. It's not about what type of rice you eat, or even when you eat it. It's about how often you eat it. Because here's the truth, most of us weren't told growing up. Even healthy foods, when eaten too frequently without balance, can throw off your blood sugar and slow down your metabolism. And for a lot of people over 60, rice has quietly become an everyday habit. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. It's easy to do. Breakfast rice with eggs, lunch with leftovers, dinner with stir-fry or soup. Rice is inexpensive, it fills you up, and it goes with everything. But the problem is, when your body is constantly being hit with a steady stream of fast-digesting carbs, even if they're from a clean source like rice, your insulin is working overtime. And when insulin is constantly elevated, it becomes harder for your body to burn fat. It becomes harder to stay energized. And eventually, your cells stop responding to insulin the way they should. That's insulin resistance, and it's one of the first steps toward type 2 diabetes. The solution isn't to cut rice out completely. You don't need to swing the pendulum all the way in the other direction. But what you can do is give your body a break. You can start alternating your grains. Maybe one day it's rice, the next day it's quinoa, or farro, or even cauliflower rice if you're looking to cut carbs and bump up the fiber. These swaps might feel small, but they give your digestive system a rest and help retrain your metabolism to become more flexible, more efficient. Think of your metabolism like a fire. If you keep throwing the same kind of fuel on it, it burns out of balance. But if you change up the fuel now and then, it burns steadier, longer, and cleaner. That's what we're aiming for, a metabolism that works with you, not against you. Now, something else we need to talk about, and it might sound a little unexpected, is how rice is cooked, not just when or what kind. Most people throw rice in a pot or a rice cooker with water, maybe a little salt, and call it a day. But what if I told you that by simply adding something like coconut oil during cooking, you could actually reduce the amount of digestible starch in the rice? There's a fascinating study from a few years ago where researchers cooked rice with coconut oil and then chilled it for 12 hours before reheating it. What they found was astonishing. The process actually changed the structure of the rice, increasing the amount of resistant starch and cutting the calorie absorption by as much as 50 to 60%. Now, your mileage may vary, of course, but the idea is compelling. The coconut oil binds to the starch during cooking, and when it's cooled, the rice forms a type of starch that your body processes more like fiber than sugar. That means fewer calories absorbed and a much lower impact on your blood sugar. So if you're already batch cooking your rice, try adding just a teaspoon of coconut oil per half cup of dry rice. Chill it overnight and reheat it the next day. It doesn't change the taste in a noticeable way, and you'll be helping your gut and your glucose response in the process. And let's not forget, what you drink with your rice-based meals matters too. Are you washing it down with sweet tea, juice? Even certain healthy smoothies can sneak in way more sugar than you think. Pairing high-carb meals with sugary drinks is like doubling down on a blood sugar spike. Instead, go for water, sparkling water, unsweetened iced tea, or a light broth, or even just sip a little lemon water. It's refreshing, hydrating, and doesn't add to the glucose load your body has to manage. Every little choice, every ingredient, every combination, every habit, it all works together. And while it might seem like a lot at first, I promise it's not about perfection. It's about giving yourself the tools to feel better, function better, and age with more freedom. You're not trying to follow some restrictive diet that feels like punishment. You're learning how to enjoy your meals again, knowing they're actually supporting your health, not sabotaging it. And there's something powerful about that, especially after 60, when you realize that a food you've been eating for decades can still be part of your life. It just needs a little tweaking. It feels freeing. Because now, instead of being afraid of rice or blaming yourself for how your body reacts to it, you understand it. You're in control. That's where the power is. So as we start to wrap up, I want you to think about your next meal, not tomorrow, not next week, the very next meal you make. What's one small change you could try? Maybe it's swapping white rice for brown. Maybe it's adding vinegar to a side salad. Maybe it's cooling your rice and reheating it later. Whatever it is, try it. Just one small shift. Because that's where transformation begins. Not in overhauling everything overnight, but in one doable, thoughtful decision at a time. And the beautiful part, these changes don't just help with blood sugar. They help with digestion, energy, inflammation, sleep, mood, and even weight. All the things that matter more and more as we age. And they don't require fancy supplements, special diets, or giving up the foods you love. Just knowledge and a little intention. You know, the truth is, so many people over 60 carry this quiet belief that it's too late to change, that the damage is already done, that the extra weight, the sluggish energy, the blood sugar swings, they're just part of getting older. But I want to pause right here and tell you something important. That is simply not true, not even close. Your body is still listening. It's still adapting. It's still responding to the choices you make every single day. And even something as small as changing how you cook or eat your rice, yes, rice, can set off a chain reaction of healing inside you. Because it's not just about the food, it's about what that food represents. It's about reclaiming your energy. It's about waking up in the morning with a clearer mind, lighter body, and more stable mood. It's about protecting your independence, your mobility, and your peace of mind. It's about being able to enjoy a walk with your grandkids or a quiet evening with your partner without the weight of blood sugar crashes or chronic inflammation dragging you down. So when we talk about cooling rice, pairing it with protein, adding vinegar, choosing the right timing, we're not being picky, we're being strategic. We're working with the body you have now, not the one you had at 30. And that is something to be proud of. There's so much power in small changes. And it's not about being perfect every day. It's about showing up for yourself in a new way, a kind, curious, informed way. Because every meal is an opportunity to nourish, to heal, and to thrive. Now, maybe you've watched this whole video and you're thinking, I've eaten rice this way for decades. How much difference could these changes really make? And I get that. But what if the difference is waking up without joint pain? Or going a whole afternoon without that sudden energy dip? Or finally watching your A1C numbers drop after years of them slowly creeping up? It starts here, with awareness, with understanding that food isn't the enemy, and neither is your body. In fact, your body has been doing the best it can with what it's been given. And now that you know better, you can give it what it actually needs to thrive at this stage of life. So try the chilled rice. Add the vinegar. Slow down when you chew. Experiment with red or black rice. Shift rice from the main event to a smaller side. And remember to be patient with yourself. Because this is a journey, not a race. If this video helped you see your meals in a new light, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or your own rice tricks down in the comments. What changes are you going to try first? What have you noticed in your own body? Your experience matters, and your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you found this helpful, give this video a like. It tells YouTube to show it to more people who need this kind of support. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this. We talk about food, longevity, energy, mindset, all the good things that help you live stronger and better after 50. Above all, remember this. It's not about giving up the foods you love. It's about learning how to love them in a way that loves you back. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to be. And your best days are absolutely still ahead of you. Here's to living smarter, feeling better, and enjoying the little things, like a warm, nourishing bowl of rice, with more wisdom and joy than ever before. You've got this.